I think that there is a constant consecration of setting yourself apart and saying, Lord, none of this on earth matters. All only thing that matters is you. And if it costs me everything, as long as I have you, you're everything.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Lessons from Living. This is going to be a fun one today, and I can't wait to get started. But I did want to mention listener Mark, who took my request on our 100th episode seriously about sending me ideas for guest interviews. He is a big fan of the show, and he not only connected me with a potential guest, but also took it upon himself to purchase their book and send it to me so I would have the opportunity to evaluate the book before I interviewed the guest. That is going so far above and beyond, and I am eternally grateful to have Mark in our audience. You are awesome, Mark. Now, on to today's guest, Mitch Parsons, who has stepped into a vision given to him by God to attempt to actively make a difference in our culture and lead a group of men to be difference makers in their communities. He will say that he's an ordinary man and that anyone could accept this challenge. The difference is he said yes. And I fully expect our world to be changed because of his commitment. Welcome, Mitch Parsons. Well, hello, Mitch. Thanks for being with us
Hi, Beth.
today.
Oh my goodness, thank you for having me. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
we're excited to have you on. I
Thank
want
you.
to go back a little bit in time with you, if that's okay. I
Yeah.
know you played football for Vanderbilt, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
So
ma'am. Yeah.
you were an athlete, and you
Yeah.
said that the curse of an athlete is often to do things to impress people.
Yeah.
And then you ended up having an eating disorder for 7 years. So I was kind of, putting this together in my mind. I was wondering if I know eating disorders develop for all kinds of reasons, but do you
Mm-hmm.
think there was a connection there with that curse of the athlete, with wanting to look a certain way, wanting to have a certain physique? Was any of that part of it?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was fully a part of it. I think it was one of the driving factors. I think the variables that contributed to my eating disorder are there's a couple of them. I grew up just being very controlling. I liked to control every variable of my life. And my eating disorder stemmed from a time in my life when I had control over nothing. I was in Nashville, away from my family. I found out that my mom was sick because of her medical expenses. My parents filed medical bankruptcy. They lost their home. My mom and dad were cleaning. My mom's a teacher. She's a principal now, but at the time she was a teacher. And they were cleaning schools in the evenings after she would get home from school.
Wow.
Um, it was the first time in my life school was hard. I was going to a prestigious academic school and I'd never gotten a B in my life. And now I'm having to work really hard in school. I'm no longer the best football player. I was at an SEC football school and I was a group of all the guys who were the best at some point. And so I didn't have control over anything except for what went into my body. And at the time, they had put on, because I played receiver in high school, and they had put 20 pounds on me to play tight end. And so I was slower. I was playing a position that I wasn't super familiar with. And in my head, I correlated, okay, I have no control over anything. I'm not the best at anything anymore. And the only thing that changed was I put on weight and I look different now. I no longer have a six pack. I no longer am this super cut up lean kid who could run fast and jump high, and I'm weighing more and I'm slower, and the only thing that changed was food. And so in my brain I started to obsess over the number on the scale and the correlation between what I ate and what that number was.
Wow. Okay. And I know you said you're still having issues today because of that. Can you just describe that? I have so many friends whose kids have gone through this.
Yeah.
And if there's a way for them to realize it has long-term impact much of the time. Would you
Yeah,
share about
definitely.
that?
Yeah. So I think one of the things that I'd like to like disarm, or yeah, disarm's the right word. It's not just a woman's disease. Having an
Mhm,
eating disorder is something that it is not, it doesn't discriminate between man and woman. I think societally we credit it to a woman's disorder. I was anorexic. I wouldn't eat for days at a time. I'd pass out at practice. I had to be monitored by my coaches to make sure that I was eating. But those, I would, today I have been delivered. The Lord has delivered me from my eating disorder, but there are
mhm,
still, and I believe that this is a repercussion of sin in itself. There's still scar tissue, like remaining scar tissue, that inhibits my body. So if I get to from functioning in its fullness, like if I had surgery on my shoulder and I had scar tissue, and my range of motion might not be what it should be. And that's the picture that I get when it comes to my eating, is that there are still certain things that I don't love being on camera. This is hard for me, if we're honest. I don't love pictures of myself. My wife hates it because she's always wanting to take pictures, and I never want to take pictures. And in her mind, she can't get the fact around that, like, she thinks that I'm hot, or she thinks that I am attractive, or she thinks that, but in my brain, I don't agree. And
mhm,
so those are just, Caroline Leaf talks about neural pathways and how there are parts of your brain that associate, when I see something, it triggers a part in my brain that instigates feeling and emotion, association. And for 10 years, when I saw myself in the mirror, the association was gross, I hate that. And those neuro pathways are a physical, actual response to my mental psychology. And so that has to take healing. My brain has to heal from that physically. And I've been throwing neurons down this pathway for a decade. I'm in the process of healing that, but I have to capture every thought and throw them down a new pathway. I think to like, the Grand Canyon was made by the Colorado River, carving at it
mhm.
for hundreds of years. And if I put a dam at the top of the Colorado River, eventually the Grand Canyon would be refilled. I mean, it would take hundreds of years, but there would be a new Grand Canyon X amount of miles down the road where you rerouted the water. And so all I'm trying to do now is capture every thought, but that's hard. That's really hard. And so that's my process right now,
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of work.
though. It's sanctifying, though, because I can't do it on my own. My pride gets deconstructed pretty quickly when I realize that the enemy doesn't ever stop.
Yeah.
And I need the Lord to help me in that.
Yes. Well, going back to that idea of impressing, living to impress, or, being having that inclination to impress, that's not unique to athletes by any
No,
stretch of the
no.
imagination. How do you get to a place in your life, do you think, where you can just let that go?
I think for me, it has gotten to a place where I have to come to the full actual, because there's lip service, right? Like as Christians, we
Mm,
can repeat things that we hear. And I think there's a level of importance of repeating it until you believe it. But until you believe it, like in your core, that the only person that elevates you is Jesus and the Lord. Like man will not elevate me. And so if I am doing things, and I actually have it tattooed on me, it's, am I serving the Lord or am I serving the man? If I'm serving man, then I'm no longer serving the Lord. It's Galatians 1:10. And I
okay.
paraphrased it, but if I'm doing things under the fear of man, I can't operate under the fear of the Lord. They're not able to coexist. And so for me to get to a place, and I've had to do it, being on social media has made me, I did not want to be on social media. I'm glad that I am, because I would not have been on this podcast and I would not have connected with you. But social media for me has been a really hard thing, because it'd be pretty easy to like study social media and see what is received and what goes viral and just replicate that. People do it all the time. You see it. But what the Lord asks me to say often is counter to what is attractive to that. And so I've come to the place where I cannot be choosing to impress people.
Mhm.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be building a gym that is for Christian men only. That just pisses off a lot of people. Like, so,
Yes,
so, um,
yes.
it's got to be a core understanding of who actually is the elevator.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, on social media, and I've recognized that a lot of my listeners know don't care about this at all, but this is for me,
Yeah.
people.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wanna know
Yeah.
because I hate it too, and do you feel like it is a non-negotiable? Like you said, there's a lot of good in it. We wouldn't have met otherwise, but
Yeah.
I just there's so much of it that's so repulsive to me that if I
Yeah.
had an option, I absolutely would not wanna be on it. Do you feel like with what you're doing, it's going to take being on there?
I preface this with like I believe we serve a God who he works miracles. He works outside of the wisdom of man. It actually says like he
Mhm.
makes those on the earth feel silly because his wisdom confounds them. So I do believe that there would be a way. If the Lord asked me today to stop being on social media, my gym would still open and it would still be successful. It would be his definition of successful and it'd be carried out the way that he actually wants it to be.
Mm,
I do believe that I hate social media. I can't like emphasize that enough. I think as a married man, like the algorithm doesn't do me any favors.
mhm.
And like a quick example, like my wife and I were sitting next to each other on the couch. We both got, I don't know if it was a geo tag because we both got at the same time an ad for a necklace. It was around Mother's Day. And her necklace, her view would have been like what you saw right here, like talking about this necklace with a pretty woman. And the same ad, same company I got was a top down shot of a woman's chest and her necklace. And we
Wow.
both sat there and like looked at each other's phones, like, this is what you get and this is what I get. And so I think that for what my first as I'm fundraising, I have a budget. I actually have somebody who is already contracted to me. The first thing that I'm going to do is get to a place where I don't have to be on social. I'll sit and record long form content, put it in a Dropbox, and his job is to cut it up, post it for me on all the platforms, respond. We call them our little ducklings. My wife's a worship leader at our church, and there's a lot of little younger, like 21-year-old ducklings. They're going to be in charge of responding to things for me and being like, because they love social. That's their whole
Yes.
generation. They're on it. I don't want to be. I
Mhm.
think clearer off of it because there's also social media has all the ideas of what I should be doing. And
Mhm.
they're not the ones who are building this. The Lord is. And so, yeah, to answer your question in a long winded way, I think that I mean, I've gotten connected to potential sponsors. I've gone on podcasts. I've been connected to people who want to help buy me buildings. I've been connected
Mhm.
to people who I've been professional athletes have come into my inbox where I'm like, this would never have happened if I was in Denver, Colorado shouting about it on the corner.
Yes. Yes. Well said. Well, speaking of Denver, you let's go there. You've said that
Hmm.
you're living in a place where it is not cool to be a Christian. What is that experience like trying to raise kids and build a life in Denver?
It's a battlefield for sure. But I realized actually though that it's the enemy is not a one-stop shop, one tool kind of guy. Being in the Bible Belt and being in Franklin, Tennessee, where everybody is a Christian, really, really sets you up to be a sleepy Christian
You're
and
right.
to be passive and complacent. I don't have that gift or that I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse. I don't get to be passive. I wear a shirt that says pray and fast pretty regularly. It's a big all it says pray and fast. I get dirty looks, I get up down, I get like venoms like through the eyes from people where I live. I have to train my daughter who's 4 and you toddlers, if you don't have a toddler and you're not familiar with toddler, they don't know the word filter. They have no idea what a filter is. If they have a question, it comes out. My wife and I frequent a couple of different coffee shops in downtown Denver near our church where I have to tell my daughter, "Hey, if you don't know if that's a boy or a girl, you can do not ask. Don't ask if that's a boy or a girl because that is demographic of people do not care if it's my 4-year-old asking or if it's me asking and how they respond in hate to be
Yes.
honest. And so I've had to train my 4-year-old. Like we live in a place that being a Christian, this isn't just on the other side of non-Christians. This is on Christians for representing ourselves this way too. Because there's a lot of justification to the response of, "Oh, you're a Christian, you hate me." That's a lot of what the chasm between Christians and non-Christians in Denver is the dialogue and the way that Christians often interact with people who don't. because at the end of the day, people who don't know the Lord, I believe there's two parties. There's people in active opposition, and then there's just people who are naive, ignorant, don't understand. They've been deceived, and those people need Jesus too. And so my wife and I have come. The reason I believe that we are in Denver is there's two segments in Denver. There's downtown Denver proper. I would relate that to Seattle, to LA, to New York, to where there are more transgender flags in windows than there are people, probably. like and those people need revival. They need to meet Jesus. They need to know Jesus and for who he is, not for how his people have been representing him online. And then there's the outskirts of Denver because that's they're pretty conservative. It's a pretty conservative. Denver is very blue outside. I would relate to like it's not Franklin. It's like lukewarm.
Mm-hmm.
Those people, they need awakening. They need shaken awake. That's the middle-aged man or the 40, 30-year-old man who's married, lives in a suburban house, drives the car he wants, has the job he likes, his kids and his wife are happy or have the appearance of being happy, and they don't want to shake the boat. They don't want to talk about how culture has changed and redefined what Christianity is and what Jesus says, and they need it shaken. And so there's people whose eyes need opened and people who need shaken, and they both exist. And so Denver is it's chess. We're taking it like a chess game because you can't. It's like parenting a child. You can't parent one kid the same way you parent the other. I can't
Mm-hmm.
go into every situation assuming that I have the answer for that. I just have to be Jesus and how he would handle in each of those situations.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. But you have to be there communicating with people for them to meet Jesus, you know?
Yeah.
So to say, well, we're gonna be separate to an extent that they don't have that opportunity, that doesn't work either.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
glad you're there, even though it's hard.
Yeah, it's I was actually cuz you're in Nashville, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I was in Franklin in May. God, I wish I could live in Franklin, Beth. I love Franklin in May. Before it gets humid, that's when I love Franklin. But I went to a Bible study at a church down there with one of my friends, and the pastor said, "Man, Franklin's awesome. Isn't Franklin awesome?" And everyone's like, "Woo, Franklin's awesome." And he's like, "Why would you want to live anywhere else unless the Lord has you on mission, like somewhere in New York or Denver or California?" And I was like, "Oh, I live on a mission field according to the rest of the country." And like here's the thing is it is and my babies are going to be raised up. My daughter, that little girl, we walked through the store and she's like, "Do you love Jesus? Do you love Jesus?" And I'm like I'm like, "I just need toothpaste. I can't can we get to the and so she was built for this too. And so we don't really get an opt out option. We've tried. I've tried to move to Nashville, I've tried to move to Dallas, I've tried to move to Tulsa. I've tried and the Lord just keeps redirecting. So
Yeah. So your daughter is 4,
yeah.
and yes, I heard you tell the story of her doing that in California too. Um,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
what do you think? You must be doing a good job. How do you teach your children to be tiny evangelists like that? That's really amazing.
It's my wife. My wife, I'll get emotional. She's a warrior when it comes to how our babies are being raised. She stepped away. She was a worship leader for Red Rocks Worship. She was doing the tour thing, the album things, the label stuff. Like she opened for Mercy Me at Red Rocks Amphitheater, which is like a lot of people's dream. Like
Mhm.
to be able to play at this world renowned amphitheater. And she couldn't care less. She wants to share Jesus. And she stepped away to teach our children. My daughter told me this. My wife didn't even tell me, which is crazy. But my wife and my daughter went to Target and they sat outside and prayed, "Lord, would you bring us someone to talk to you about when we go into Target?" And come to find out, they do that every time they go into Target. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like evangelism is not my skill. I will talk to you about Jesus if I know that like if I see your cross tattoo or your cross necklace and I'm like, "Oh, they," but like I'm not the tell the like my we're on a boardwalk in San Diego this last week and there was a guy walking with a tail attached to himself and head like he thought he was a cat and he had like my wife wanted to stop and talk to him. My daughter wanted to stop and talk to him and ask him about Jesus. And I, in my head, was like, don't make eye contact, keep on walking. And the thing is like, I champion them if they want to do that. Like, they in the airport. I think my wife just gives my daughter the opportunity to be brave, is what it
Mhm.
is. We're in the airport, and there was a Muslim family sitting in the food court next to us. And my wife says, "Hey, baby," because they were very kind. They were being very kind to us. She goes, "Do you want to ask them if they know Jesus?" And my daughter was like, "Well, maybe later." And so at halfway through dinner, we're like, "Okay, baby, do you want to?" She's like, "Yeah." And so she sat there and asked this family if they knew Jesus and talked to them about Jesus. And like, I think I know there's no junior Holy Spirit. There's just the Holy Spirit. And my daughter is privy enough to not have experienced the fear of man yet,
Mhm.
where she only unabashedly, she hasn't been shamed for talking about Jesus. She hasn't been, nobody has ever told her that it's wrong and she only knows the goodness of Jesus. And so she just runs around the house. We have worship on all the time. My wife's a musician. My daughter's a musician. My son dances anytime there's any sort of rhythm played through a speaker. My 18-month-old finds himself, I don't know how to undo it, but like he climbed on the table at one point and started dancing on our kitchen table, and we thought it was the cutest thing. And then he registers, "Oh, I got a response." So now anytime there's music, my 18-month-old son, who looks like me, he's a brute of a boy, is dancing on my table, and I'm like, but like that, I would have my home be no other way.
Mhm. Mhm. So I know they're tiny, and this is kind of foreseeing the future, but
Yeah.
how do you think you would maintain that love of Jesus into their teens, their 20s? Do
Hmm.
you have a vision for what that might look like?
Well, there's actually statistics that talk about how children are 2 times as likely to carry the love of Jesus and the desire to pursue Jesus if there are conversations in the home on a regular basis. And they don't have to be hard. Like, I think one of the things that my wife and I both had to unwind is our parents' religion as we grew up. And all the things that we were taught from the church that we grew up in, and that it wasn't ours because we never really had asked questions. We were just told what was. And for me, I want my daughter to come to her own understanding through the wrestling of asking questions of,
Yeah.
that doesn't really make sense, Dad. Can you explain it? I really can't, baby, but do you know who can? Like, why don't you ask Holy Spirit to explain it to you? And then I'll ask you about it tomorrow and see what he said. And like, she may not know. But in that moment, she knows, hey, if I don't know something, I can go ask the Holy Spirit. They did a poll, I believe it was Barna. Only 17% of men self identified as the spiritual leader of their home, which means that 83% of men don't believe they're either equipped or are acting in the leadership role in their home. It doesn't take much to lead children. It takes at a dinner table, hey, babe, like, what did God show you today? Or hey,
You
what do you have a question about what God, like, we show, she doesn't get screens unless we travel, but we have this thing called a Yodo, that it's like a sound player. It's like a boombox, but they have
Mhm.
cards that you put in that play. I mean, she's got Monsters Inc. She's listening to the Chronicles of Narnia right now. I don't know how my 4-year-old's retaining it, but I've sat and she's taught me about things that are happening in Chronicles of Narnia. I've read the books and I'm like, I didn't even know that happened. But we have all the books of the Bible that she'll sit and before bed she just listens to Bible. And so I'll be like, hey, you listened to John last night. Like, what'd you get from that? And it's always 4-year-old. It's always. But if you want to learn like how to dig deeper in your faith, have your 4-year-old ask you questions about theology that you don't know how to answer, and then you got to go figure it out, because at least my daughter, she'll remind me that I didn't know something, and I'm like, okay, babe, I get it.
It's hilarious. Another comment that you made was, instead of asking God for more of my idea of good, you've started asking him to make his plans more evident to you so
Yeah,
that all you have to do is say yes to what he has for you.
yeah.
I wonder if you could share how God makes his plans more evident to you.
I've realized that my finite human brain can only ask God what I have seen in other people or what I've seen in my life. And that limits him. That limits him to what he actually has and can offer in his goodness.
Mm.
My plans for my life. I wanted to play in the NFL. I had a good chance. I was an All-American in high school. I played at an SEC football school. There were articles and papers about how I was the most NFL ready tight end coming out of high school. If I would have been 21 years old, not knowing the Lord, getting drafted to a team who, let's say I got drafted to Miami and I was still drinking, I wasn't convicted in sexual morality, and I drank alcohol, I would not have the life that I have today. And this is so infinitely better than the path that I was on, regardless of the money I would have made or the fame I would have acquired. I would
Mhm.
never have been married to my wife. I don't even know I'd be married. My wife is like the one person that I wanted to marry. Like I never thought about being married. Like I don't know. I told her like she likes to quiz me like if I died, what would you do? And it's like a super fun game that we play. And I'm like I would never. I don't think I would ever get married again. Because like you're the one that I want. Like I don't really want to be married. And outside of you. And I wouldn't have my kids. I wouldn't have the faith that I have. And so he makes the plans more evident to me. That's a hard question for me because I'm in the process right now of asking the Lord to be more clear. Which
Uh-huh.
is why I probably shouldn't be on social media because the static and the noise makes it hard to hear a still small voice. But I have learned that in my manufacturing, I'm really good at manufacturing. I'm smart. I have a large network. I'm able to connect people. I love people. If I wanted to go manufacture this thing to go, I could, but it wouldn't be what it could be. And so I'm not going to say I'm really good. I am having to repeatedly be bad at surrendering it to the Lord and saying, look, because right now, the way that I just yesterday had four back to back, it was amazing. It's funny how he follows discouraging days with encouraging days because I had a really hard day on Monday mentally of the enemy coming under attack on what I'm building. And at one point, I was like, it's not going to happen in Denver. It can't happen in Denver. I'm moving to Dallas. Dallas has no laws against how I can run this thing. It would be easy. They would encourage it. There would be tons of people there who want to be a part of it. Babe, we're moving to Dallas. There's two churches down there that we like. We're doing it. And yesterday, I had four meetings back to back to back, encouraging meetings of how there's actually a bunch of loopholes in Denver legislation that allow for it to happen. There's a group of people who are wanting to support and back and like champion this, who have major influence in this state. And
Right.
I would never have met those people. I would never have understood. I would never have had to learn judicial structure if I would have 6 months ago manufactured this, put up a bunch of box gyms, and had a bunch of gyms across the country with like my gym is going to be. It's a actually this is learning. I have to call it a training center because as a gym, it like becomes a public accommodation, which means that according to Colorado Anti-Discrimination Act, like I can't have that or in say Christian men, but it has if I use certain framing under a certain legal structure, completely defensible. And so like those are the things that I think like Lord, you showed me your plan. Like
Yeah.
I can copy and paste this now without having to run into a buzzsaw of someone who wants to say that a woman is a man and a man is a woman and you can't tell me what it is and what it isn't and who is Jesus and you don't get to tell me that I can't come in because I don't know Jesus. I can actually. And I found the way to do it. And so I don't know if that answered the question because I don't know if there is an actual pinpoint way to say, God, show me your plans outside of just fasting, prayer, and stillness. I would say that that's the recipe.
Mhm. I think a lot of people don't pray that way because it's dangerous, you know? They're
Yeah.
just not willing it's too risky to cede over complete control to God, and
Yeah.
I know you're an example, you said you've given up all sources of income in the name of following God's leading. What does that feel like?
That feels like an elephant sitting on your shoulders when you take your eyes off of Jesus.
Mm.
Right now I'm Peter on the water, and it's so tangible, Beth. Like I'll have full moments of panic and anxiety when I'm like, what am I doing? uh like but when my eyes are locked on him, it's like I haven't missed rent, I haven't missed groceries. I've been in San Diego and I've been in Coeur d'Alene all by like miracles of God where he's providing good things for us. Like I'm sure people are like, you're in San Diego. I was like, well, the financing of how that happened, I don't need to explain it to you, but like I didn't pay $1 to go to San Diego. And when I was in San Diego, I didn't pay $1. But here's the thing. I think that you graduate feels like a wrong word because it makes it feel like you're above people. But I think that there's levels of intimacy with the Lord. It's like peeling back an
Mm.
onion that one is not greater than the other. I am not a better Christian than other people because I've walked into different rooms of intimacy with the Lord. But I feel like you have to walk into certain rooms and down hallways to get access to other rooms. And like all Christianity to me so far has been not all, that sounds really bad. But when it comes to obedience, is passing a test so that you are privy to the opportunity to be tested again in something else, to be trusted more in something else. My wife and I, when we were first married, 3 years in, he had us quit our jobs, sell our house, move into my parents' basement, and start my finance business. That made no sense. My wife was touring and she was opening for people at Red Rocks. I had 10x'd my territory in the job that I was working. I was in line to the family wanted to sell. The family wanted to retire and pass the business to me. Everything was like, oh, this is God. You're blessing this. And then all of a sudden he was like, but can I have it? Like, can I have it? Do you trust me? And we did. It took us a second, multiple seconds. Little did I know. So, like, this is where it's like God's plan. We had been trying for a year to get pregnant. My wife, her first trimester, she is not capable. I love her to death, but she is nauseous. She is sleeping. She can't get off the couch. I am full time taking care of the baby,
Mm.
or I would have been, because the first time she was pregnant, we didn't have kids. So she slept and I worked, and but now we had a 2 year old, 2.5, almost 3 year old. We moved into my parents' basement. My wife got pregnant, which was an answer to a years long prayer of us trying to get pregnant. And because we were in my parents' basement, I was able to start my finance business and say, hey, babe, her name's Benny. Hey, Benny, why don't you run upstairs and go hang out with Nana and Papa while mom sleeps and I work? And my parents, who work jobs that allow them to be super hands on, got to spend. It was such a gift that my daughter, I mean, 75% of the mornings, my dad would yell from upstairs. My parents had like a little apartment downstairs, so we weren't slumming it. They had a kitchen and a like, but he would say, hey, he calls her Boogie. Hey, Boogie, you want to come up and have coffee with me? And she would come up and she would sit and have coffee with her grandpa every morning. Like, what a gift that my daughter got, and that my parents got to have that. And then my finance business started and it would blew up and it was
Mm.
cruising. And then he asked if he could have it. Like, I think that there is a constant consecration of setting yourself apart and saying, Lord, none of this on earth matters. All only thing that matters is you. And if it costs me everything, as long as I have you, you're everything.
All right, friends, we are going to take a pause here and come back to the rest of our interview with Mitch Parsons next week. You know the drill. Now, we've had good feedback on dividing the episodes. It seems like it's more palatable to digest 30 minutes of information over an hour. But if you feel differently than that, you better let us know so that we can register your opinion. Okay, guys, we are going to leave with the words of Saint Anthony of Padua today. Come, O Holy Spirit, enlighten my understanding to know your commands, strengthen my heart against the wiles of the enemy. Oh, that's so good. So grateful, as usual, to have you with me today. I love you guys. Go out and make it a great day.